Welcome to the Creation Innovation Podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth King. Together, we'll have conversations with incredible human beings who have taken their creative outlet and turned it into something innovative. From people leaving the corporate world to be 8-figure entrepreneurs to people who have created books, created a family, or just creating to have fun in the world. We are all in a journey to create something amazing in our lives, and I hope that you find some inspiration of your own here. This is the Creation Innovation Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm really excited to share with you today Kelley. She is here on a mission to help women know that they are not alone and that they can feel better in their bodies and mind. Kelley is a certified health coach and founder of Wellness by Kelley. Knowing how daunting it is to take your health into your own hands, Kelley provides help to her community in an affordable and sustainable way to set women up for success in their personal health journey. She finds her purpose and fulfillment in helping women find a sense of balance in their life and feel better than they ever have before. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
So let's chat about balance. Tell me, how do you help people to find balance? Because I know for me, running 2 businesses, having 3 kids, like balance is like, what does that even mean? Is there such a thing? So how do you go about helping people with that?
I think that the first part is looking at your life and seeing if there is that chronic overwhelm or chronic stress or the physical symptoms that result from those types of things where your body is in overdrive all the time. And then from there, it's looking at how we can start to mindset shift our way out of some of those things. And I know that I like to use myself and as an example, because I think that so many of the clients that I serve are kind of mirrors back to me of like where I was at 5 to 10 years ago. And so the way that I used to be was working 60 plus hour work weeks, working into like late into the night, answering the phone for work when it was 11 p.m. So like zero boundaries there, overworking my physical body. So working out way too much, chronic dieting, and not really getting to experience joy and pleasure and connection, missing out on all of that because I was so wrapped up in all the other stuff, and the perfectionism and everything like that. So when I see clients, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of shifting out of the all or nothing mindset, shifting out of the perfectionism so that we can have the balance of being present and feeling like we are actually getting to enjoy and be in our lives, because there are so many different things, whether it's the phone or work or emails or whatever the case may be, that are there to take us away. And so finding balance is really about recognizing what your values are and what you're really here to prioritize, because everyone is going to be different, and then showing up and acting in alignment with what those values are.
And what advice would you give to somebody who's like, I really want to try to find balance, and what you just said there, but like, how do you even go about doing that?
Yeah. An exercise that I often give to clients when we first get started is asking yourself, and it can change, right? There are times in life and seasons of life where things change. Like, so for me right now, I'll have a client write down, like, what are your top 3 values right now? For me right now, they are career, my health, and my family. Those are the 3 things. And so if someone asks me to do something, or I feel like my to-do list is a mile long, I will go through each of those given things and say, okay, is this thing today in alignment with my values? No, then that's one thing that I can get rid of or cross off the list or push into another week because it's not in alignment right now. And so I want to prioritize.
But what if you have like so many things that are aligned with all those things? Because I feel like that's where I'm at. Like,
great question.
Anything that comes into my orbit is about that, but yet it's so much, right? So how do you find the balance within those things? You know what I'm saying?
I think that that's a great question. And I think that, one thing I tell clients all the time is that as working women, there is just going to be, and as human beings, like a ball that we're dropping, day to day. You just have to be capable of deciding, is this a plastic ball, and is it okay to be dropped, or is this a glass ball? And so for me, like my son's first day of preschool is tomorrow, and I also had a call scheduled at the same time. I am not going to drop my glass ball of my son's first day of preschool. Like that is a way bigger priority than this new client that's coming in. And so it's about recognizing, like I said, which balls are glass and which are plastic, and then making the decision from there, because we're always going to be offered a million different things and have a million different things that come into our orbit, but we have to be the people that are capable of prioritizing it, so we don't get into that place where overwhelm is just like constant, and then that leads to the physical symptoms down the road.
Right. No, I love that analogy of the glass ball and plastic ball. Like I will definitely be using that from now on, because that's just a quick, like we will know that pretty easy,
Yeah.
right? And so I love that advice, because it's something that you don't have to think and ponder about for a long time. Hopefully for most of your decisions, it can be pretty easy to determine. So that is awesome. How did you come into Wellness by Kelley? Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, it was a long time coming for me. So, as I mentioned, I used to work a corporate job. I actually went to NYU I went to USC, and then I went to NYU to get my MBA, because I thought that for the longest time I was going to work in my family business, which is gaming here in Las Vegas. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what my family expects of me. A lot of that, like people pleasing,
Yeah.
and built up in me. And then the burnout ensued from things like working way too much, from things like, and not really enjoying what I was doing, just to kind of add on to that, came from not eating enough. So chronic dieting, as I mentioned, and then over exercising, and all of that led to symptoms of adrenal burnout, where I was constantly exhausted, feeling like I couldn't get out of bed. My thyroid started to slow down, which was something that wasn't caught by a doctor for a few years. So I struggled with those symptoms of like losing my hair and gaining weight, and being chronically bloated for a long time. My now husband and I actually broke up for a time being, because I was so irritable, and just angry and anxious all the time. And so my hormones were really imbalanced. Just to kind of, long story short, I lost my period, and so many doctors for so long would tell me, go on birth control, go on anti-anxieties, go on this medication. And for a while I did that. I did those things, and I was on anti-anxieties for probably 3 years, and I was on birth control for the better part of a decade. And what I recognized when I started to do my own research, and I found out about my thyroid condition, was like, I don't want to be on one more medication for the rest of my life. What can I do? I don't want to be on anti-anxieties, because I want to get pregnant and have babies. And a lot of those medicines you can't be on when you're pregnant. And so it was a lot of, like I said, research on my own to try to figure out how I could come off of those things. And it led into this passion for health and wellness, and understanding that the choices that I make today, day to day, whether that is around stress or work or my diet, like those choices impact and inform my hormones, and ultimately how I feel in my body every single day. And so I can make conscious choices and make change, which was really uncomfortable for a time, because when I was first coming out of my disordered eating with my thyroid thing, I was actually gaining weight rather than losing it. So it was hard, but it was also the right thing to do, because on the other end of it, it's been so rewarding not having to be on all these medications anymore, to just live my day-to-day life. And so that's really what my passion is, and what I want to help other women recognize, is that they don't have to, be either told by their doctor that they're crazy for not feeling normal in their bodies, or told to go on some medication long-term that's just going to be a Band-Aid.
So really, it sounds like your kind of low moments of your physical body not feeling well led you to create this business as a health coach, and finding Wellness by Kelley to help others, which I think because we're talking about creation and innovation and all of those sorts of things, how long was that process from, okay, I'm not feeling super well, I'm going to dive into this a little bit, to you know what? I think I'm going to start a business doing this and helping other people. And, because I think there's a lot of people out there that have interest in those sorts of areas, but they think, oh, I could never do that, or I could never make a living doing this, or, what if I'm not good enough about this or that and whatever, which I'm sure comes into your mind aspect as well that you help people with. But what was the process of creating this business from that lower point to, you know what, I'm going to actually do this myself?
Yeah. I love this question because I've actually never been asked this podcast before. And my husband and I will always talk about, like, he's a Virgo, which I don't know if you're into astrology, but he's very like, let's look at every single detail before we like make a decision. And I'm very like, I'm a Pisces and I'm just like, let's just do it. Like, let's just jump in. And so when I started doing all of the research and like learning what I needed to do, that was probably like 2017, 2018. I started to feel a lot better. And at the time, my sister and I had a fashion blog, which I was also like, that was contributing to the added workload on top of my corporate job. And also something that I wasn't passionate about, but we were building this Instagram following, which was cool. And like, she would get mad at me because she'd be like, you're sharing about thyroid supplements and celery juice on a blog that's supposed to be for fashion.
Yes.
No, it's great. But I also felt at the same time, I'm not 100% qualified to be giving people this type of advice, even if it is just through Instagram or a blog. So at that moment, I decided, okay, I'm going to go to IIN. I'm going to get a certification. And from there, I've gotten like 3 additional certifications specializing in hormone balance.
Can you say what IIN is for anyone listening who might not know, but is interested to do the same?
Yeah, IIN is the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. So it's all about holistic coaching and looking at not just your diet and not just nutrition, but like every angle and aspect of your lifestyle. And then in the back end of the course, which is a year long, they also actually teach you how to set up your own business. So going into it, I actually didn't even think like, I'm not using that part. I'm not going to set up a business or a website. Like, I'm just doing this so that I can share with people on Instagram. Well, it kind of just, at the end of that course, like, I was really inspired. I was like, wow, like this would be really cool. Like I get a lot of fulfillment when people feel like they're helped. Like when people would send me a DM and they were like, I feel like you have changed my life just through like one shift. I was like, okay, I can make a real impact here. And so from there, I had just had my first son in 2020 and at the beginning of 2020. And my husband, to this day, we talk about this, was under the impression that I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. Like I was going to quit my corporate job and I was going to be West's mom. And I, 3 months into that, built a website, started a membership platform, and started my one-on-one coaching business. So there was like a low end ticket offer and a high end ticket offer, which I can go more in depth with, but like, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, I want to help people and I want to see people on Zoom and I want people to be able to like do my workouts and follow my recipes and do my meditations, which are like the 3 things that really changed my life. And so, yeah, I just put the website up and I used the Instagram that my sister and I were using, and it all started flowing from there.
That's awesome. I love that because it kind of points out the done is better than perfect, right?
Oh my
So
gosh, yes.
just go do it. And that's what I say with my coaching students as well is just get out there, especially with the website stuff. I don't know about you and your website, but my website changes all the time. So some people say, well, I'm not going to start my business until I get my website up. And it's like, you actually don't need to do that to get your business going, because that will start to evolve as well. So I love the fact that you're just putting a stake in the ground and saying, I'm moving forward with this, even though I just get out the gate and whatnot, because I think there are so many people in that same boat.
Yeah, 1,000%. I have a client right now who is trying to do medical consulting and she's like, well, I can't launch the website until November because it's not perfect and it's not this and it's not that. And it's like, I was talking to her yesterday and I was like, when I put my website up, like it was bare bones. It was, I've changed it probably 6 times since
Yeah,
in two
I
years,
know. Yes.
and it's ever evolving. It's never going to be perfect because there is no definition of perfect. And so and you also learned, like I mean, I'm sure, as you know, with a coaching practice, like your business is ever evolving. And so your website's going to have to change so much as those changes happen within your business.
Right. So tell us a little bit about creating your membership. What does that look like?
So my membership is, like I said, recipes, workouts, and meditations. It started just as a platform on the website. Now it's an app,
Oh,
and
cool.
you get weekly content that is kind of like funneled in Monday, Thursday, and Friday, I think. And so you'll get a new recipe, workout, and meditation. And then you have the content library. I also do live workouts, recipes, and meditations where I talk to women for an additional charge of the membership fee about how these certain things are impacting their hormones. And so I think that if you're going to start a membership, knowing that, like, that's in my opinion, like one of the best low ticket offers, because I'm not taking time individually with all of these hundreds and hundreds of people. I'm creating one piece of content that's going out to all of them, but they can all use as, implementation into their lives that is making their hormonal balance better. If you can hear my son, he just came home and I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I often say to people who are starting to coach in whatever way, whether that's fertility coaching or whatever it may be, that there are so many different options to coach. You don't just have to do one-on-one. I mean, there's again so many options. So if you're thinking of maybe this is a road that I want to go down, membership is a great alternative to coaching. You don't have to just do one-on-one. People do meet once a week. Some people meet once a month with their groups, and you don't even have to do it live. You can do it pre-recording. So if you have any questions about that, you can reach out, I'm sure, to Kelley and to myself around any of those things. If you're considering coaching and kind of don't know how to package that up and what that might look like, that would best fit your life. And again, back to that word balance. Part of that is putting boundaries around your own situation of what feels good for you and your life and your family in those moments too.
Oh gosh, yes. So I think that, like, for me, the membership, and then later down the road, creating my online e-course, like that was a really helpful way for me to minimize the amount of people I was seeing one-on-one, so that I could spend more time with my kids. Because at the very beginning, when I started, the very first thing before I even put the membership up, they were kind of in tandem, like maybe 2 months apart. But the very first thing was one-on-one. My one-on-one was also priced way lower than it is now, which, I mean, I get it, for everyone starting out, that's kind of the way that it is.
Yeah.
But at that time I was seeing so many more people. And so I was super overwhelmed. I also had zero personal boundaries. And so, like, that overwhelm that kind of started in my corporate life started to creep back in, because if a client called at 11 o'clock at night, I would answer and I would be like, hi, like, can I, what can I do for you? Like, is everything okay? And my husband's like, what are you doing? Like, this is like, we're in bed. Like,
Yeah.
and so having to, like, put those personal boundaries into place was so important in owning my own business.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, because I think those get bent a little bit, right? As you're starting out, because you feel this need that I need to, or I should be doing this in order to make them feel like they're getting something out of it, or that they're seen and heard. But really, that I was just saying to one of my students today, you are now a CEO of your own business. You have the ability to set the boundaries and say, no, I am only available this time and this time. And you shouldn't feel bad about that at all. And everybody understands that we all have our lives and our craziness with, what we're dealing with. And the fact that it's 11 o'clock at night. Most people realize like that's not appropriate. And we should be able to hold on to boundaries as we kind of grow in our businesses as well, I think.
One thing
So,
that I had a coach actually tell me a long time ago was that if somebody is not okay with a personal boundary that you set, then that's not your person. And that should be okay, because there are way more people out there that are your people. So
I agree. And sometimes when you're starting out, you feel like you won't find those people. It sounds like with
yeah.
you and your Instagram account already being what it was, maybe you didn't have that same experience, but a lot of people feel like I have to, because I need to get what I can. And really, that I feel like is setting the foundation for what you want your business to be. So if you start out the gate to say, nope, these are my people, and if you don't kind of respect that and my boundaries, then maybe you're not my people, to know that's okay. And the right people will come to you, and having that belief that they will be there. It may be a longer game than you think. And that's, again, what I say with fertility coaching. This is a long game. I can talk about fertility to the wall all day long, or business all day long to the wall, because I know this is a long game and I enjoy talking about it. So be in what you enjoy, regardless if anybody shows up or not, right? Because the more that you are aligned with your heart center and what you're doing, people will come to you. People will show up. You just got to keep with it and hold to those boundaries.
1,000%. Yeah.
So do you have any final advice for people that are listening around all the things, maybe some of the things that you talk to people most about?
Oh, this is a great question. I would say for most women that I see, it's really around the to-do list being a mile long, kind of like we talked about earlier, and feeling like if you don't get it all done, then it's a failure. And so I think that going back to that point that we made earlier around really recognizing what your priorities are and letting go of other people's expectations is one of the things that in today's culture is going to allow you to feel so much more alignment, both in your mind and in your body. I think we get so caught up with worrying about what other people think of us. It drives us into this anxious spiral, whether it's around our bodies or what other people think about our job, or if we're doing enough as a mom. And it's like, if you feel comfortable and confident and you can trust yourself in what you're doing day to day, it completely changes the game and how you experience your tasks, your to-dos, and the list of things that come at you every day.
I couldn't agree with you more. I just read something this weekend about imposter syndrome and how all of these people, whether they're professional athletes or actors or whoever they are, that we think, they've made it and they are at this height of their career, they still feel that imposter syndrome of, oh my gosh, am I even qualified to be doing this or speaking on this or whatever. So keeping that in mind, that no matter who you are, what you're doing, everybody's feeling the same way, and somebody needs to be hearing what you need to share with the world. So thank you so much for being here today. And we will chat soon, I'm sure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Creation Innovation Podcast. Make sure to follow us on Spotify for free episodes and subscribe to the Creation Innovation Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you choose to get your podcast. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast wherever you're listening for a chance to receive a special gift. Yes, we actually do send out gifts. It's my favorite thing to do. So visit us at elizabethking.com/creation innovation for more information on how to enter. Every review counts, and we are so grateful. You can follow me at the official Elizabeth King on Instagram or TikTok. Until next time.